Good morning and welcome back to the Adventures of Mac and Anthea, and what I suppose is going to be a bit of a follow-on video to my previous video, Solar Inverter Problems. So in a minute we're going to jump inside, and as promised in that previous video, I'm going to report back to you guys after a couple of months on how I've got on with this new gas fridge. All the sort of stuff you probably want to know, like the smell, the noise, the capacity, fuel consumption, ease of use, all that sort of thing. So if you can just bear with me for a minute, I'm just going to quickly catch up the people who didn't see the previous video. I'll put a link somewhere up there to that video if you want to see it, and also another one at the end of the video. So what we're going to quickly talk about is what actually led me to make the final decision to purchase the gas fridge. Also what initially led me to dismiss it altogether and think, no, we'll manage without the gas fridge, and why now I think the complete opposite and consider it an absolute must-have when you're running an off-grid solar power system. So we'll start off with when I initially started designing and building my solar power system. And I think, like a lot of people, I considered the advantages of having a gas fridge. I thought, well, you know, it's running at night when we've got no solar power. The fridges normally, they're constantly charging on and off. And I thought, well, a gas fridge will be well handy. However, I soon got pretty put off the idea when I started researching the price. They are very expensive. They're about 3 to 4 times more expensive than a conventional fridge. Now, obviously, gas fridges are actually two-way fridges. If you've got experience of caravans or motorhomes, you've probably got experience of three-way fridges. These are two-way fridges. You can run them on gas, butane or propane, and you can run them off mains electric, 220 volts, whether that's through your solar or off the grid. So you've instantly they do two functions, basically. So you can expect them to be probably double the expense of what they are. You know, that's kind of understandable. So I don't really know why they're so expensive. I don't know whether it's a case that there's a lot more goes into building them, a lot more expensive materials, whether the companies who build them are smaller and therefore they don't buy the materials in such bulk, so they have to pay more for them, or whether it's just a case that they don't have the competition and they charge more for them basically because they can. Personally, I suspect it's a combination of all those things. So basically, at the end of considering a gas fridge, I came to the conclusion that it was a bit expensive. In fact, it is far too expensive. I considered that for the price of a gas fridge, I could buy another 2.4 watt lithium battery, a Dynas one, which I'm quite keen on, and probably another 3 or 4 panels and still have change. And the way I saw it is those panels and that battery would power it through the day and overnight, and when it wasn't powering the fridge, it could power something else. So I thought it was a win-win situation. However, there was one thing that went completely over my head that I didn't consider, which afterwards was blatantly obvious would be a problem, but just at the time it just didn't see it. So this was the pitfall with this conclusion. It's all well and groovy when everything's working with your solar power system. It's fine. And for the most part, here where I live, here out in the Moonies, you know, in southern Spain, the solar power system is far more reliable and far better than the actual grid system out here. I mean, when living out here and if you're on the grid, you know, if it's too hot, too cold, too wet, too windy, that power's cutting off. And there's many a time I'm sitting there in my house with all my power on, looking over to a blacked out village. So on the whole, the grid power system, the solar power system is better than the grid. The problems come is when something goes wrong. If they have a blackout in the village, normally within 2 to 3 hours max, they've got their power back on. If you have a problem with your solar power and you have to order new parts, say from China, you're looking at anything from 5 to 10 days for those parts to get here. So personally for me, in almost every circumstance in the house with every appliance, not having power is basically an inconvenience. However, not for a fridge. You know, that fridge has got to keep going. You know, you've got food in there. I had a chest freezer which I kept stores of food in. Unfortunately, the prepper in me, you know, likes to have sort of a month or two of food in storage, just in case something like COVID or whatever comes along. So, yeah, I had quite a bit of food all stored and frozen up there, which you couldn't leave for 10 days without any power on. I've got a backup generator, but I can't run that for 2 days, not, 10 days, not with sort of a litre and a half of fuel an hour. And of course, being as it's only a backup generator, it's only really designed to do about 4 hours at a time. And as it happens, I rarely use it. I mean, you could count on 2 hands certainly how many times I put that generator on in a year. So basically, after having that problem with the solar power and finding a serious flaw in my original plan, I come to realise that having a gas fridge, or whether I have one or not, is not really an option. You really when you're living off-grid with solar power, no grid power whatsoever, you really do need to have a gas-powered fridge. And the good thing about it is, well, you don't need to run it on the gas all year round. I mean, we're in April now, and I've already had a few days when I've had it on solely electric. But as you see probably in the background now, it's getting a bit cloudy now, so I've gone back over to the gas again. But I'm thinking you could probably run this gas fridge on, in fact, I'm certain, for at least 6 months of the year, you can run that on your solar power. And my solar power, this is going to mean nothing to you because you don't know what my solar power is, but I haven't got a huge solar power system, but it still copes with that fridge easily when we've got sunny days. Okay, so I think that's enough waffle. I think you're getting the general gist of what I'm trying to get through to you guys there. Let's get inside and start looking at the interesting stuff. Okay, so we're back inside. Apologies for the lighting here. This camera really isn't kitted up for inside use, but I'm sure we'll manage. So this is the fridge freezer. It's made by a company called Butzer. Bit of an unfortunate name, but there you go. And this is the 275. So you've got a Butzer 275, which is the literage capacity, 275 litres. So as you can see, I've connected up to a gas bottle. I think this is a 13.5 kilo of gas in this gas bottle here. And all I've done is I've bought the pipe and this adapter, which is really common to find in any ferreteria here in Spain, because a lot of people use gas for their cookers and things like that out here. So really easy to find and connect up. Now, the first thing I noticed about this when I bought this is it's considerably larger than my old fridge freezer. It was quite smaller. It's a shame I haven't got it to stand next to it. But when I actually opened it up inside, there was very little difference in the dimensions inside. Within the centimetre, it was about the same, except for the depth, where it's considerably deeper. Now, the reason for that, I'll just quickly open this up. You can see, look how thick the walls are. I mean, that's my hand there. They're pretty damn thick, the walls of this fridge freezer, both there and on the fridge. See there, not as thick as the freezer, but still quite thick. So that's got to make it a hell of a lot more efficient and hold the cold inside a lot better than our previous fridge. I suspect that's probably a double or a triple A of its rating. I'll have to check it for you and have a look, and I'll probably write it in on the subtitles. So hopefully you're going to be able to see here. I'll come around to the back here. It is quite a deep fridge. It goes quick. You need quite a bit of room here. You've got the flue on the back here, sort of comes out just here, and this is basically where the fumes from the gas comes out. Now, as to smell, I actually put this fridge on. I put it on full, which it recommends to do for a few hours, and I turned it down to half level. Now, first week or so, there was a little bit of smell. Not bad if you've got sort of gas bottle heaters in, which many people do have in Spain. Certainly doesn't smell as bad as that. But the slight smell. But after that 2 weeks, it wore off. And we don't smell anything out of this. Now, they do say you could put a flue. And looking at the width of this, I'm thinking if you wanted to put a flue in, you could put a exhaust off a diesel heater on there and take it out through the wall if you're really that bothered or concerned about the fumes. Now, I will say this. It's definitely the sort of thing you'd want to be putting a carbon monoxide detector on. I haven't bought one yet. I've been looking at them now with a Wi-Fi connection that will send alarm to my phone, which I shall probably just stick on the side of the fridge here. So, certainly, definitely with this inside, and also with gas ovens, and if you've got a gas heater, you want a carbon monoxide detector just in case. Otherwise, there's a chance you're not going to wake up in the morning. So I suppose that addresses the smell. Couple of weeks with a little bit of smell on. My nose is quite sensitive. Anthea didn't really notice it, and that was it. And now it's clear you can't smell anything at all. Now I'll move on to the noise. There's really no noise with this at all. I'll try and take you around to the back here and have a look down here. There's a flame here. Probably see under the bottom there. That's a pilot light, and that lights up, and that does flare up a bit occasionally. You can hear it burning a little bit faster if it's quiet, but other than that, there's no real noise. And when it's set on electric, unlike a conventional fridge, you haven't got that rattling and noise when it's sparking in and out. You've got none of that noise either. So as to noise, there's really no noticeable noise whatsoever on this fridge. Let's open it up and have a look inside. As I mentioned, it's a good sized freezer, and it is quite deep. Sort of my arm goes in, sort of up to the elbow into the back of it. There's a couple of shelves here. What I do particularly like is this on the doorway. You've got little shelves on the doorway that you'd normally see in the fridge, but not in the freezer. The thing I like about it, it stops this thing where you've got a really full freezer, you're holding your hand up there to hold it in, then quickly coming and slamming the door to try and stop it from falling out, you know, and get the door shut in time. You can actually stack things up in the door here, and it saves you having to do that. So I really like that. It's really quite handy. It's a really simple, you know, untechnical solution to something, but I like that. It works really well. And the freezer does work really well. It's seriously cold and holds its temperature well. Right, moving on to the fridge. Again, quite deep. There's plenty of room in there. You know, for your average two or, you know, 3 people, there's more than enough room inside this fridge. There's plenty of storage in the door here. I suppose if I was forced to be critical, I hate these egg things. But I mean, to be honest, we can replace them. They stagger the egg things instead of having the double ones in there, which would be better. And we've actually purchased one of these egg things anyway that feeds them out as and when, so it doesn't really matter. Another thing I would say critical, you've got to be careful of these, try and mix some of this stuff out, these steel things on the bottom there. I cut my hand on that when I first got it and I cleaned it out. They're quite sharp at times, you catch them on this, you just be careful of that. But other than that, you know, it's quite good inside. You can see it's quite wide, the walls on it, so, you know, it certainly saves on gas that you're burning. Okay, so moving down to the controls, I'm going to open the fridge door for a bit, because you can see them a bit better. Unfortunately, they are on the bottom, which isn't the best idea. Maybe they could have put them on the top or on the side, but anyway, they're down on the bottom. It's very simple. You've got twisty switch here, off, gas and electric. You just twist it on which one you want it on. When you twist it to gas, you have to push this button in here and hold it, and then ignite it with this button. And once it's ignited, this little dial here will spin around into the green. You hold this on for about 20 seconds, and then you let go of it, and then just quick pop your head around the back and make sure it's lit. Really simple, very easy to use, and anybody who's got a motorhome or a caravan are probably familiar with that. Now, as for temperature, I tested this with a thermometer over several days. You only need this set on number 1 for the gas, and that'll keep your fridge around 3 degrees. Now, they recommend it should be between 3 degrees and 5 degrees, you know, for the fridge. Well, 1 degree, sorry, and 5 degrees for the fridge. That keeps that on 3 degrees constantly, providing you haven't got the door wide open like I have here. When you change it over to electric, you just have to turn it up halfway between 1 and 2, and that'll keep that at the same temperature. Don't know why you need to adjust it for electric. You would have thought it'd be thermostatic control, but after testing it with thermometer, you do. Okay, so let's put it back down to 1. Let's get this door closed. I'm wasting gas. Okay, so we've talked about the smell, we've talked about the noise, we've talked about the capacity, we've talked about the ease of use, you know, usability. Now let's get on to the really important thing. I tested this, put a brand new gas bottle on, and I left it, and it lasts currently at this time of year, which we're in April. One of these gas bottles will last you 29 days. That's exactly how long it lasted, almost to the hour. Now, whether it'll burn a bit more in the summer, I suspect it probably would do. But then, of course, in the summer, you know, I'm going to be on electric. I won't be using the gas. I mean, we don't hardly get a cloud in the sky in the summer months. So, at the times when it's likely to burn more gas because the weather's warmer, we've been getting more solar and we don't need the gas. So, I think that's going to work out pretty well. So I think we're going to wind that video up there. Incidentally, that fridge cost just under €1,300. I did see it at cheaper places, but I've learned here in Spain and probably in other places as well, you've got to be really careful, and a lot of those cheaper companies didn't stand up to a Trustpilot check, and they had a poor review. So I got mine for Leroy Merlin. Obviously, you pay a bit more, but they're a big reliable company, and also if I have any problems, I should probably, you know, have no problems taking it back to them. If any of you guys do have any further questions about this fridge, please feel free to leave it down in the comments and I'll try my best to get back to you. I'm also going to be doing in the future, because there seems to be some interest in this, in the solar power thing, I am going to be doing a video on my full system, sort of the minimum you could get away with in a house but not be camping sort of thing. There's a lot of videos out there. I'm going to dumb it right down. It's not because I think you guys are stupid. It's just that there's so many videos out there that make things far more complicated than they need to be. And I think it could be off-putting, which I think is a bit unfair, because building your own solar power system and fitting it and designing it is incredibly easy. And you could do it with the most basic of DIY skills. You don't have to be the expert. You don't have to do these big calculations, you know, and all that sort of stuff. But I think I'm going to make a video about that, so look out for that, and I shall go into all that without the mathematics and without all the other crap that they pull into it, and make it really, really simple for everybody to follow who have zero knowledge of solar power whatsoever. So I think what we'll do, we'll wrap that video up there. I'm going to thank you for watching. Please hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.